From Tally to Cali,
It's time
to wake up.
Wake up! Wake up!
Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.
One more corner pocket.
Now here's Warchant.com's Aslan Hajavandi.
And Corey Clark.
Wake up! What is up, everybody? It's Wake Up Warchant, presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Coming up on today's show, Florida State star-studded, but with unselfish stars. How unique and cool is that? Wake Forest playing the mystery game at quarterback, and the olden days of college football passing us by soon. We reminisce. Wake Up Warchant, presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, Tallahassee, Florida, 2475 Appalachian Parkway. You also can find it on the internets over at cptallybar.com. You can place your order to go if you're in a rush. But the best part of Corner Pocket is like taking it all in, the atmosphere, the ambiance. Lunch specials, Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. today. 5-piece chicken wings and French fries. Don't have to think about your side dish. You're just going to go ahead and be like, hey, we got it figured out. Our wings pair well with our fries. 5 chicken wings, French fries, $8.99 from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. And don't forget, tomorrow, bingo night. Test your bingo skills to win drinks and prizes in hard, cold American cash. Marked bills, though. Marked currency. Just letting you folks know. Live show Thursday, Corey and myself. That'll be awesome. 6 p.m. Thursday. Come hang out with us. That'll be your Friday podcast. And then tomorrow's show will be you folks letting us know what you want to talk about instead of us setting the agenda. It's called Renegade Express. Head to the Tribal Council, warchant.com. Post your questions. It's Corey's favorite program, so bring your heat. Bring the best questions you have. We'll do an entire show based around it. 5-star rating and review, thumbs up, please. Subscribe to YouTube, our channel, Warchant TV, and warchant.com. That's where all the good stuff's hidden. All the good stuff. Corey Clark, he's not hidden. He's in plain sight, everybody. What's up, big guy?
What's up, buddy? How are you doing?
Well, I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I can't complain. You know, it's a beautiful day on Tuesday. The weather, you just can't beat it right now, Aslan. It's fall. It's football weather. A little tinge of crispness in the air. Thanksgiving right around, Halloween, then Thanksgiving right around the corner. You just can't beat this time of year, buddy. NBA started. The World Series about to start. The football team we cover is undefeated, 7-0.
They are.
Number 4 in the country. Does it get any better than this?
No, man. Maybe if it was like a high of 70 as opposed to a high of in the 80s, but I'm really not complaining about that. I like it, man. I know some people want a little chillier, but I'm fine with the 80s. I like the heat. It's where my people are from. It's what I've grown up in, so I like it a lot. Hey, speaking of this football team being 7-0, any doubt in your mind? Really weird to come out the gates at this one. Any doubt in your mind whatsoever they're better this year than they were last year?
No doubt at all. Last year they didn't have Keon Coleman or Braden Fisk. More
talented for sure. You know, they played LSU both years. They beat LSU more convincingly this time around.
Yeah.
I feel
they
like
played Clemson both years, and they beat Clemson this time around.
Right. I feel like they beat Syracuse more convincingly last year, despite the fact they didn't score as many points. But the scoring offense is higher. Yep. And, I guess we'll see this month will really tell it all. The forthcoming month of November. Who knows what's going to happen here with Wake. Apparently they're going to flip a coin on their quarterback situation. But, if you don't beat Miami 45-10, doesn't mean you're not better than you were last year. I'm not bracing for that. And I don't know if they'll score 45 against the Gators in the Swamp, but they should still win that game. So I don't know. Something I was thinking about. Just I was chewing on it, Corey. Because here we are, man. We're 7-0. Like, this is real. Like, it's happening. All these scenarios are real. Drink it in, everybody. Drink it in. Thought about this one, too, on the Rosillo podcast. I know it's a net positive going to 12 football teams, but think about a season like this, where Georgia plays in the East, their crossover in the West wasn't all that stout. I mean, they got Auburn. But like, say they were to lose to Florida this week and then lose to Tennessee, they would still be in the playoff probably, right? They would still probably be a top 12 team. Yeah. And they'd have the right to play for a national championship somehow. Maybe not the actual game, but they'd be in the thick of it. I don't know how I feel about that. Still don't know how I feel about that, Corey.
Yeah, I was thinking about that too. I think I would equate it to, look, it's still going to be cool. It's still college football, but it's going to be like the Major League playoffs compared to what they used to be. Like we talked about, I guess it was last week. It used to just be the best record in the National League, won the National League, and they played the best record in the American League, which was always the Yankees. So the Yankees were in the World Series every year by like September 1st. They knew they were going to the World Series. I don't know that was the best for the sport. I do like the fact that more teams will have a chance to compete for a championship. You think about this year, man. And also, like, let's just look at the way college football is now, man. It's too hard to ask a team to go undefeated. Like, Florida State's not afforded a bad day. Like, if they go up in Wake Forest and just somehow, knocking on wood, turn the ball over 6 times, get a punt blocked, lose 31-27, they don't deserve to play for a championship because of one slip up. Like, I don't think that was fair either. I don't think that was the best way to do it, because football, it's especially with the parity and the way college football is now. I think it's just too much to ask for one team to go undefeated or one team to lose one. If you lose one game, you're gone. Or if in the case of Florida State, if they lost to Wake, if Georgia lost 2 games but still won the SEC, I think they would deserve a chance to go win a championship. That'd be like the Eagles not being able to – the 49ers now, because they've lost twice in a row, they don't get to go play for the Super Bowl. I don't think that's necessarily the best way to run this sport either, because it is the NFL light. We might as well treat it like the NFL, but we are losing something.
Yeah,
I get it. I'm an older age. In hindsight, it's probably, just looking back, you're always fond of the things from your past and your childhood. Looking back, I do look back that with some innocence and some fondness. Like, every game did matter. Those Saturdays did matter. I don't like the regular season being devalued as much, but I also do like the thought of a deserving champion, as opposed to BYU in 1984, as opposed to Colorado in 1990. Pick another one. Florida's never had an undefeated season.
Losers.
Yeah, exactly. So I do like this better. But I get it. And next year, I was thinking about that because I actually listened to that Russillo pod too. Well, I listened to when he was talking to Feldman. And I can't help but look ahead to next year when they're talking about the 2024 season. I'm like, man, what Florida State? If he reloads this roster, if these guys get better, maybe Hakeem and Destin turn into freaks. Maybe you get Johnny or Keon somehow to come back. What if they could make the playoff next year? They could be not as good a team, but still go 10-2, win the ACC, and make the playoff. I think that's cool. I think that's cool to have something to fight for. Probably won't win a championship, but you never know. Get in the tournament and see what happens.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny that you mentioned the Niners, because that's what made me kind of think about it, watching the Monday shows on ESPN and just about, Brock Purdy never lost a game. Now he's lost 2 in a row. Is there trouble in San Fran? And it's like, golly, chill out. No, there's not. But like in college football, you would say that though. You'd be like, yeah, they're in a tailspin. This is bad. But starting next year, it's gonna be like, they'll be all right. They'll probably go on a good run here. They still have one more loss probably they can budget in here if they can find a way to make it to their conference championship game, and then they'll make it to the playoff, and then who knows what's going to happen from there. It's going to be a recalibration here. So
yeah, it's going to be weird to get used to.
Yeah,
to knowing that, like, right now, Miami, next year at this point, if Miami had the exact same season it's having right now, would still technically be in the playoff hunt. They're 5-2, whatever they are. If they win out this year and finish 10-2 with a win at Florida State, even if they don't go to the ACC championship game, which I guess they probably couldn't, they're right there on the cusp of probably in the top 15. And if you're in the top 15, well, that's close to the top 12, and you got a fighting chance to get into the playoff. So, you're right. It's going to take some relearning the sport and understanding. Like NFL, you're going to have to be like an NFL fan. Yeah. Like when you lose a game in September or October in the NFL, oh, well, big deal. Or any game. As long as you get in as long as you get in the playoff, you got yourself a chance. And so all these teams, especially in the SEC and Big Ten, I would say any SEC team that goes 10-2 is going to have a very, very, very good shot of being in the playoff for years to come.
Yeah. And just last thing on that, like, would you, I don't know, like, I feel like 6 months ago, if you would have asked me this, I'd be like, absolutely not, no way. But I feel like there's legitimate, you probably do still have a legitimate shot even as a number 12 team, because we would always talk about the difference between number 4, 5, and 6 was like this, kind of a little bit of a margin to where you probably still could have won the national title. But man, if we're talking about 13, 14 not making the playoff, we're not going to feel bad for you because you probably have no shot. But like, I don't know, man. Like a Georgia this year, again, man, like Brock Bowers out for 4 weeks, you end up going on a losing skid, but you get him back. you probably still could get hot and win 3-4 games and win a national title. So like 6 months ago, I'd have been like, we're never going to see anybody ranked under 7 win a national title. But I bet within the first 5 years, we'll see a double-digit team probably win.
Yeah, you just look at it now. Like Georgia's the number 1 team in the country. Ole Miss is number 12. Well, they're going to play each other in a few weeks. You would not be stunned if Ole Miss won that game. You'd be surprised. Georgia's going to be favored, but that's not as stunning. And Utah is 13th. Oregon State is 11th. Penn State is 10th. Like, yeah, all those teams would have a chance to go on a run, win 3 or 4 games in a row, and win a championship. I think that's great for the sport. I think it's cool that, like, right now, UNC's still got a chance. Missouri's still got a chance. LSU's 15th. If LSU wins out, they're top 10, they would go to the playoff, even though they lost twice in September. I think that's good for the sport. I just think it's going to take an adjustment to get used to. But that being said, I think it's cool moving forward with Florida State because I do think this guy is the right guy. I do think he's going to load up this roster. He knows how to win. He's going to have to find himself a quarterback. But they could and should be good enough to be in contention for a playoff spot for years to come. And that's cool. That's cool. I don't think they're going to be a top 5 team next year, but I think they can be a top 15 team and win a game, beat Florida and Clemson at home. You got yourself a chance to get in the playoff, baby.
Speaking of quarterbacks, we spoke to John Dell, as we mentioned in the open, from the Winston-Salem Journal. We recorded that a little bit earlier in the week before Dave Clawson had his press conference yesterday afternoon. Sounds like he's gonna keep things close to vest here, Corey, but he did say that Mitch Griffiths, the starting quarterback going into the season, who was not available last week in that victory against Pitt, he's practicing. So is Santino Marucci. They both have a shot to play. That add any trepidation to your journey with Irish O'Fell to Snuggy Hill coming up this weekend?
No. I mean, I think you'd probably have a better chance against the third stringer, but he's probably feeling pretty good after leading a last-minute touchdown drive to win a game. Probably feeling like he's unbeatable. And the Griffiths kid was not playing well. It's not like he got I think he got benched, right?
He did, yes.
Yeah, so he was not playing well. They were not playing well with him. They honestly, against Pitt, didn't play well at all until the final 3 minutes of the game. And they won the game thanks to a quarterback not knowing to dive instead of slide. But they did win the game, credit to them. But no, again, this is not the difference between, what's that kid's name at Boston College, the other quarterback, Morstead?
Yeah, Moorhead. Look at you, Emmett Moorhead. Look at you, Corey.
Yeah,
he knows his ACC, my guy.
That's what I do, baby. It's not the difference between Moorhead and Castellanos. These are kind of similar dudes. I don't know that one runs more than the other. I don't think either one of them are great running threats. You would assume Griffiths runs the offense better just because he's been there longer, but he was not running it well. It was not a smooth operation before he got there or before he left the starting lineup. So, no, I don't think this is the same as last week, Riley Leonard. And you know what I mean? I don't think there's a discrepancy is that vast between those two guys. And I don't think it should change the way you prepare for the offense.
I know we were wringing hands yesterday talking about fourth down plays, but you did ask Coach, because I'm bringing this up because you mentioned Pitt losing that game because they didn't know to dive head first as opposed to sliding to get that first down next to the chains. But you asked Coach Norvell if that's something that they practice or they're aware of, and man, he was very animated in his response and emphatic that is something that they indeed do, not necessarily practice, but they're aware of. Have we ever seen Jordan dive head first? I can't remember the last time we saw Jordan dive head first. I haven't seen him slide all that much. He'll find his way out of bounds, seemingly. I know the Florida game maybe stands out, and that's what he referenced in his answer to you. But certainly I would at least trust that they use that as a teaching moment. If they hadn't stressed it enough before then, I'm sure this week, speaking to Jordan, they're like, hey, man, if we're in that situation, dive, don't slide.
Yeah, he's done it a few times. I actually asked the question a couple of weeks ago because he'll get near people and then slide down real quick. Do like the baseball slide real quick. He got targeted the one game. Was that Virginia Tech maybe where the kid was kicked out of the game for hitting him in the helmet after he slid? And he did it Saturday night against Duke. His first run on that long touchdown drive. He ran for 11 yards and slid down. And really, I thought he got a favorable spot there by the letter of the law and by how they usually mark it when he slides. But the reality is, on first down, it doesn't really matter that much if you slide or dive. But for the people that don't know, so when you start your slide, the rule is if you slide like you're just picture, the baseball slide, the ball is marked where the ball is marked where it is when you start your slide. When you start to lean back, wherever they deem the ball to be is where the ball is spotted. So you might slide, let's say you run to the 25 and slide to the 28. Well, they're probably going to mark it at the 24.5 because that's where the ball was when you started your slide. And that's exactly what happened to Pittsburgh. All he had to do was get to the 25-yard line, and they win the game. It's a first down. Wake has not enough timeouts. So, but the rule is if you start your slide, it's where you start your slide. He started at a half yard short, so they punted. If you dive forward, think of like Pete Rose sliding into third, dive that way forward like Superman, the ball is where it is when you land. So it's an extra 3 yards, and it's safe that way. So that's what I asked Norvell about. I've never seen Jordan Travis do that, but I don't remember him ever quite being in a spot like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I would hope Jordan Travis would be smart enough in that instance, if he has any question at all, to just run out of bounds.
Yeah, he would have ran past the chains. Like he would have ran past the marker.
Yeah, and then don't slide at all. Just run out of bounds or dive forward to stop the clock. But dive forward. Don't slide because the ball doesn't go backwards when you dive forward. So that's what I asked Norvell about, and he said, yeah, they have talked about it. It might come up, man. There's a good chance one of these next 5 games, they are going to need a first down to ice a game. And I think their best weapon when they're trying to run out of clock is the legs of number 13. And I just hope he knows, because I've never seen him do it, but Norvell said he has. I hope he knows, get past that first down marker, get way past it and slide, or if you're near it, dive forward. You just don't want to dive into a collision. You don't want to lead with your head. But the difference with the Pitt game is there was nobody near him to hit him in the head if he dove forward. You know what I mean? Like there was no risk of getting hit. So he should have dove forward or dived forward, and he did not. And they lost the game, and Wake Forest won it.
I still love his. I love the celebration. It was subdued, but it was very like, yeah, got it. All right, ice that, boys. Let's go. Let's go home with this dub. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, like, nope, that's not the case. That's not the case. VitaminEnergy.com, promo code WarChant BOGO. That's BOGO. Buy one, get one free. Multi-packs, variety packs, maybe something specialized. You want to focus on your workout, focus on your focus on your mood, your immune system. It's all there for you. Even an 8-hour sleep shot. Maybe you're already got that natural stuff pumping through. You just need help winding down at night. Oh, that's there. Sometimes they even throw it in free for your order because they know you're from Warchant. So use that promo code WarChant BOGO, BOGO. Shout out to our guy over on the islands, our guy Ralph. Aloha, Ralph. Ralph says the other day he was at the old 7-Eleven. And guess what they had at the counter as he was checking out? They had a little display of vitamin energy, guys. Look at that.
Okay, not in Hawaii?
Yeah, man. They had the Vitamin Energy Focus Plus in the berry and tropical infusion flavor, the B12 14,000 in the acai pomegranate flavor as well. So, they had 4 different varieties on the shelf there next to the competitor that only gives you 5, weirdos. So, that's awesome, man. Thanks, Ralph. Appreciate that, man. Get yourself some, everybody. You don't have to go to Hawaii and 7-Eleven. You can just get it from the comfort of your home. VitaminEnergy.com, promo code WarChant BOGO, BOGO. Energy with benefits. Shake it and take it. VitaminEnergy.com. All right, let's talk about practice on Tuesday. It was fun. Some big plays early on in practice, I thought. Corey, period 3. Tate Rodemaker connected with Keon Coleman. A little bit say hey kid style, like over the shoulder Willie Mays-esque catch by Keon's doing things that Keon does. And then A.J. Duffy, of all dudes, connecting with Jackson West, of all dudes, Pride of Huntsville, Alabama. Coach Norvell had some good things to say about Jackson West's progress here. Revealed that he was dealing with some injuries in fall camp, but is starting to kind of come on, likes what he can be, has a bright future here. You couldn't tell any difference between practice yesterday and practice a week ago as they were going into a primetime showdown against a ranked team that had a lot riding on in terms of conference positioning, and now you're playing a 4-3 team That's 1-3 in conference, sleepy nooner. I mean, I don't know how much that's like being a mature team, buy-in, buying into the messaging that, it's you versus you, not you versus the opponent. But anything else that stood out from practice to you on Tuesday, Corey, that you want to share with the class?
No, not really.
Yeah.
I thought Deuce Spann looked good.
He did, yes.
He's so fast that there were a couple times in one-on-ones where he's 5 yards past someone, but the throw, they can't throw it far enough. Like he always has to come back to the ball because he's so fast. And I don't know, that hasn't come into play yet this year, and who knows if it will. I don't think they've taken a deep shot with him all year. But these quarterbacks have to learn you got to throw it quicker. Because if you're going to wait for him to get 5 yards open, he's running at such a high rate of speed that unless you have Patrick Mahomes' arm, you're not going to be able to get it. He's going to have to come back to the ball. He probably won't catch it, but he probably will get a pass interference. But it's just he made a couple really nice hands catches. He made 2 nice catches in one-on-ones. And, Norvell talked about it on Monday at his press conference that he could see on Sunday that Deuce was bubbling with a little more confidence, a little more bounce in his step. Because you can't overstate how important that is. You have the talent, you have the size and the speed, but if you've never done it in front of people, you don't know if you can do it in front of people. And then all of a sudden, he has one of the biggest plays of the year. How could that not fill him with confidence? Like, oh yeah, I can do this. I can make plays. This speed does translate. I am a good player. And confidence is so important. It really is. And, him having some now, and is there a chance for him to play this weekend? I don't know, probably. But I would it's good to see. It would be nice to see him take advantage of this opportunity and of this newfound confidence. Because, he did look like a different receiver to me, man. Like there are times over the last month where he's just, to me, I've just kind of like not even paid attention to him. Just kind of a forgotten dude. He has that kick return, and then I don't think it's a coincidence that the next practice that we get to watch is in my opinion, his best practice of the year. Like they couldn't cover him, and when they did cover him, he still snatched balls away and made catches. I just thought it was really impressive, man. I thought he looked really good in the one-on-one portion that I saw anyway. So that's good to know because there aren't many colleges in the country. What would you say Deuce is on this team? The 6th receiver? Obviously Johnny, Keon, Kentron plays more than him. Darian plays more than him. Destin plays more than him. Ja'Kai. So 7th? I know they play different positions. I get it. And
Hakeem looks poised to maybe.
Yeah, Hakeem I think has more catches than him this year. So he might be the 7th or 8th receiver on your depth chart if you're just ranking like production. And he's 6'4" and runs like a world-class sprinter. Like and I know he's not one, but there aren't dudes there aren't colleges that have a Deuce Spann essentially running 3rd string. So let's see what happens with him these next 4 or 5 games. And we don't even talk about Vandrevius, and he might end up being awesome. So we'll see, man. We'll see. But I thought to me that was cool to see Deuce pick up where he from the game on Saturday. And there was a cool moment I saw on it is what it is when you have Jared Burst. This is just how practice works sometimes. They were doing these blocking drills, and Jackson West he didn't pancake Jared Burst, but he came close to doing it. He really kind of gave him the business. And so I look over, and they're chatting back and forth. And Jackson West is telling him about it. And then Burst starts talking. And I can't remember who got in between them. It might have been Edmund. I can't remember. Oh, Edmund went up and dapped Jackson West, I think, to say good block or whatever. And Jackson West was talking to Edmund. Burst was right there. I have no idea what they were saying. They were 50 yards from me. But I was like, okay, I want to watch this next rep. Jared Burst doesn't get pushed back much. And he certainly doesn't get talked to after that happens much. And I wanted to see what it looked like with Jared Burst kind of being mad and wanting to prove a point. And I will go ahead and say it looked exactly how anybody listening to this would think it would look. It was not Jackson West's best rep. After he had a great rep, Jared Burst reestablished dominance very, very quickly. And you just sometimes forget. And I don't think he played great on Saturday. He played fine. He's played very good all year, I think. But he was not a impact player on Saturday night. But he is absolutely an impact player. And you forget just how freakishly strong that guy is. And Jackson West didn't forget it. It was very, very impressive. That guy is so explosively strong. It's crazy.
Do you think we'll start seeing more of that dynamic pressure that we've been hoping for towards the end of the season here now?
Yeah, look, I thought you saw it out of Patrick Payton. I thought he had a really good game on Saturday night, pass rushing. Jared Burse has been exceptional against the run, in my opinion. And, yeah, I think, look, you have Griffiths or what is the great Santucci playing this week. Neither one of them are, Michael Vick running the ball. You have the Pitt kid who is not Michael Vick running the ball. You have Tyler Van Dyke, probably, if he's playing. He's not a guy that you have to worry about busting through the line and rushing for 30
Oh, yeah, he'll hang out all day. He invites it.
Absolutely
he wants to
will.
feel it, yeah.
He's got a little Bledsoe in him. Like, you can get a couple of sacks on him every game.
He's a masochist.
So and then Mertz. So you've got the
Can you
the
say
last
that name
5
without
games.
Laughing? Just Mertz.
No, Mertz has actually had a good year, man.
No,
He's certainly better than
name.
the Wisconsin transfer that this program got a few years ago. But man, I want to see these last 5 games he can kind of pin his ears back. You don't have to worry about a Castellanos or even a Klubnik or a Jaden Daniels. Or, Riley Leonard was getting it out so quick. He didn't sit in the pocket a ton. So, I think you will start to see him make more of an impact with pressures and sacks than he has so far because he's facing more statuesque, let's say, quarterbacks. I mean, they're not horrible athletes by any stretch, but they're not the guys they were facing earlier in the year either.
Post-practice interviews, Lawrence Toafili, Tatum Bethune. I know you were hanging around Tatum, but the thing with Lawrence that caught me not off guard, but the pleasant part of the interview is always pleasant. Lawrence is a great young man. I don't know if it's a cultural thing, like in terms of what Mike Norvell and David Johnson, the staff, have established, or like a generational thing almost. But I feel like, James Wilder and Devontae Freeman got along. Like, there was everybody was happy spreading the ball around. But there's a real sense, and maybe it goes against, what I would believe. I would just believe these guys have really big egos and they deserve it. They put in all this hard work. They sacrifice their bodies and they're up at 5 a.m. They want to be able to, make plays constantly. They want to be the guy that's relied upon in situations where it was the first quarter, the fourth quarter. And Lawrence Toafili gets limited opportunities, but continues to make the most of it and has absolutely no qualms with it whatsoever. I just feel like, 15 years ago, 10 years ago, that would have seemed kind of crazy. Like they would have been just playing the good soldier in front of all of us, but then probably grumbling about it off camera. But I really believe when he talks about I'm just ready whenever and I'm good with whatever. I just don't know how much that's just is that kids maybe are a little bit more mature than we think these days, or just is that a tribute to David Johnson and Mike Norvell and the culture they've set?
Well, or maybe it's just specific to the players they recruit. Like maybe they recruit guys that are like this. Look, even Keon Coleman, man, and I don't think we talked about Jaheim Bell too. Apparently Jaheim Bell didn't love blocking at South Carolina and didn't like much about that offense at all. It would appear his last year there. Well, he's embraced it this year, man. You watch watch Jordan Travis's first touchdown against Duke. Well, his only touchdown running against Duke that gave him the lead. Jaheim Bell's waving him follow me. He's the lead blocker, and he's saying, follow me, and he pushes that kid almost into the bricks on the block. So and Keon Coleman does it too. And I don't know if I'm sure the culture has something to do with it, because if you go out there and don't block on this team, if you're a wide receiver or if you're a guy that's selfish, I've said it before about the basketball team. You stand out. When the FSU basketball team was rolling, if they would have had a selfish dude that moped and pouted because he didn't get minutes or he didn't get shots, he would have stuck out, man. And they would have all made fun of him in the film room. I think that is now that you could apply that to the Florida State team. If you got a guy that's about carries or touches or lack thereof, man, that's not going to fit in that locker room. I mean, Keon Coleman is maybe going to be a top 15 pick. He had a game where he had 0 catches. Johnny Wilson had a game where he had 0 catches. Now, he had a few drops, he had a few targets, but they've all sacrificed. Jaheim Bell's had games where he didn't have a catch or he had 1 catch. Jordan Travis has had games where he's thrown 15 passes. And then what I like about it, but I think Toafili is a special kind of kid. Like, I don't want to dismiss that what he is, because I just, you're right. I just love everything about him as a football player, because he is willing to do everything. He is willing to be a punt cover guy, a kick cover guy. He's willing to go catch balls. He's willing to go line up in the slot. He's willing to go run hard between the tackles. Like, he can do a little bit of everything. He's just, you're going to miss him when he's gone. He is such a valuable part of this team. I don't think he's underrated. I think people listening to this show realize how valuable he is to the program. It's just cool to have a guy like that doesn't ever gripe, at least that we know of, about his carries or touches. But also, I don't think Trey Benson does either. I don't want it to sound like Toafili's like the outlier.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm just talking about who we spoke to yesterday.
Yeah. No, right. But I bring that up because I watched the cinematic recap that they did, which, again, all these colleges and pro teams are doing them now. They're great. It's awesome for the fans, so go watch them. But they had the camera on the bench after Keziah's touchdown in the first half, and Benson just has the biggest smile on his face when he's sitting down next to him. And I just
you asked Atkins about that, didn't you, or was it Ira that asked about it?
I think Ira might have, but I think somebody, maybe it was Atkins that was talking about Deuce and how everybody was so happy for Deuce. Maybe it was Papuchis, I don't know, but he's like, that's what's so cool is how happy they are for each other. And he goes, it's not fake, because if it's fake, you can smell it. But it's real, genuine, authentic happiness for their teammates. Like, everybody was excited for Deuce because they know he's a good player and they know he's been waiting to make a play. And I just think that can permeate an entire team where they're all really excited and happy for each other. And that's what I see out of that team. There's not a lot of griping. There just isn't, if there is any at all. And it helps that Johnny Wilson doesn't ever say a peep about anything. Like, he is the most casual, big-time receiver that you've ever seen.
Yeah, not a lot of diva in him.
He catches the ball, he gets up.
Yeah.
He flips the ball back to the ref. He's just, and I just think all that matters. And Toafili is just kind of a perfect illustration of kind of the selflessness you need on a team like this when you have this many weapons, because they can't all eat every game.
John Dell coming up here in a minute talking Wake Forest football. But first, a reminder, mybookie.ag, it's spooky season. Use the promo code WARCHANT when you sign up for the first time. Instant cash deposit bonus. Some of the games not available right now, so I want to see this one, Corey. They have conference winners. Florida State minus 187. That feels very safe and pretty fair in terms of value. Obviously you always want to see the plus next to something, but let's be honest. They're alone atop this conference right now. North Carolina, second smallest, shortest odds, second best odds, plus 300. I feel like you could put a large sum of money on Florida State to win the conference and probably feel pretty good about it. But I don't want to jinx it. Did I just jinx it, Corey?
Then don't do it. Don't jinx it.
All right. Big Ten, Michigan plus 101, Ohio State plus 240, Oklahoma plus 101, Texas plus 110, Washington odds-on favorite in the pack. And then the SEC, Georgia minus 149. So look at that. You've got better odds to win your conference than Georgia does. Look how far we've come. Feels good to be back. Feels really good. Texas A&M plus 8,000. Florida plus 7,000. Slim odds.
Very slim. Very slim.
Ole Miss plus 3,500 if you want to get reckless. It's a possibility. And plus 3,500 is a nice number. But yeah, they're gonna have to beat A&M and then make it to Atlanta and beat Georgia probably. So anyhow, just one man's thoughts. Live betting, live casino, futures, it's all there. MyBookie.ag. Use that promo code WARCHANT for your instant cash deposit bonus. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere. John Dell, Winston-Salem Journal, talking Deeks. Coming up right after this. Welcome back in, everybody. Wake Up Warchant, presented by the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. We got John Dell from the Winston-Salem Journal joining us here on the program. John, thanks for taking time out. How are things up in North Carolina?
Very nice. Very good weather. We're in the 70s all week, and this is why we live in North Carolina.
All right. We had a little bit of fall last week, and now it's back into the 80s for like the next 10 days. So Florida gets what Florida deserves or something like that. So noon game between Wake Forest and Florida State. John, just kind of big picture. How are things? Is it par? Are they underperforming expectations? Obviously, Sam Hartman leaving the program probably affected things, but being 4-3 overall, 1-3 in conference right now at this part of the season, would you say Wake Forest is on track or maybe a little bit behind the pace they thought they'd be able to sustain?
I think they're behind a little bit, only in that everyone thought that Mitch Griffiths was going to be the answer at quarterback. He had showed some good play in his limited time. Sam Hartman was pretty durable, but Mitch struggled. He tries to almost do too much in one play, and I think that's what fell out of favor with the coaching staff. In reality, maybe they should have 5 wins, so they're not too far behind. But it's just a case of their offense has kind of been missing in action. And I think the last 2 years they have the highest scoring years in school history. So it's kind of a wake up call for the Wake fan base, just because they're not scoring at will like they did the past couple of years.
Yeah, that Sam Hartman kid was all right, apparently. I mean, I guess they obviously knew there was going to be a little bit of a drop off, but probably not this much. So, has Griffiths been replaced due to injury? Was it ineffectiveness in that game against Georgia Tech, I think, where he really started turning the ball over? Or where do you think they stand right now with the quarterback situation after Santino Marucci with a real nice comeback win this past weekend?
Well, he was replaced for ineffectiveness in the Virginia Tech game. Georgia Tech, he played all the way through. He was replaced, and then Michael Kern, his backup, who seemingly I think has been here longer even than Mitch, he got hurt. So then Mitch had to go back in at the end of the Virginia Tech game, but then he got hurt again at the end of the Virginia Tech game, or even he probably shouldn't have went in. So he wasn't even in uniform. And Santino Mariucci, I call him the Great Santino. I don't know if you're old enough to remember The Great Santini, the movie with Robert Duvall, but he engineered quite a comeback. It was just unbelievable that he was able to, despite throwing a late interception, he came back and let him down on the winning drive with 7 seconds to go. So that was one of the more unbelievable games that I've seen over there at Wake Forest. But the bottom line is they won. They've got some confidence. And they're going to need every bit of that confidence going against Florida State, because Florida State is fast. That's the thing that you notice with the Seminoles. And can Wake Forest keep up with that pace? That's going to be what maybe is the thing that sets Florida State apart when you talk about with against Wake Forest.
Yeah. I know Marucci turned the ball over a few times, but as you mentioned, he engineered that game-winning drive. And I saw the clips of the locker room after the game. I know everyone's always excited after a win, but I don't know if they feel like maybe he gave them some kind of spark and something to build off of, or do you think the coaching staff's almost treating that as a one-off and they're hoping that Mitch has been able to reboot himself and find his way?
Well, that'll be the question this week. I don't know that he'll answer him because he wants to keep it close to the vest to kind of keep Florida State guessing. But when Michael Kern got hurt and Mitch wasn't playing, they didn't have any quarterbacks. And now Kern probably won't be back this week. He may be back in a couple weeks, but now they sort of have 3. So they have some options out there, which is not what they thought about a couple weeks ago. So Santino's just kind of he's a gunslinger. He likes to throw it deep. Now, Warren Ruggerio's offense doesn't really call for throwing it deep, but he likes to throw the ball all over the field. And he did a pretty nice job the other night in his first start. So it does give them a little more options, and he's fresh. He's well rested, that's for sure. So I think that just gives them a little option there with if Mitch is able to go. And if Mitch can play, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they played them both on Saturday.
And this offensive line's got so much experience. They're grading out really well, according to Pro Football Focus. The run offense is kind of on par of what they've been in years past. One of the tackle spots seems to be a little bit of a weak link. Is the offensive line holding them back, or is it ultimately the lack of a passing game that doesn't have this offense clicking on all cylinders like we'd seen in years past?
Well, what we've gathered is a couple of the tackle play hasn't been as good as it needs to be on the offensive line. And I think stretching the field hasn't been an option because they lost Donovan Green in a preseason injury. he was really their stretch guy, and he got hurt, and so he hasn't been there all year. And they really don't have a breakout. Jamal Banks is pretty good, but he's not as fast as Donovan Green or as physical. So they've kind of been hurt with the stretch plays. They haven't had many explosive plays on offense where, they had those in years past. So that's kind of hurt them as the wide receivers aren't as strong as in past years.
Still got that 1-2 punch at running back, though. Obviously with Justice Ellison and Damon Claiborne, have they been as productive as needed?
They've struggled in a couple games when Wake fell behind and they didn't have any running game and they had to just try to win with the pass. And if Wake Forest is balanced, between the run and the pass, and they're picking up yards, that's the whole key to that kind of that run, not a run shoot, but the run pass option offense. And when they're balanced, Wake can beat anybody in the ACC. Now, even if they're balanced, can they beat Florida State? That's kind of the question. And I think one of the reasons this game's at noon, because Wake has to turn around and play next Thursday night at Duke. So it wouldn't have been really fair for Wake and Florida State to play a night game on Saturday. So that does bode well, I guess, for the next game, because that would have been a short time frame. But I know Coach Clausen was hoping for a noon game, and that's what they got.
This defense, I don't know, sneaky good. Is that, can we say that about this unit, or is it kind of tough to tell because maybe they haven't played the most explosive offenses in this conference yet?
No, it's keeping them in games. It's the best defense they've had, I think, in the last few years. I mean, Brad Lambert, he's in his second year as the defensive coordinator. Of course, Coach Lambert was the defense coordinator when Jim Grobe was here a few years ago when they won the ACC title, which, by the way, since they started the ACC title game, Wake Forest is still the only North Carolina school to win the ACC title. Just throwing that in there, which is, I know the Carolina fans don't want to hear that. The NC State fans don't want to hear it, and neither do the Duke fans. But that's a good little tidbit that Wake is the only in-state school in North Carolina to win the ACC title. But Brad Lambert's second year, and they're really playing lights out for him. The linebacker play has been tremendous. Jacob Roberts is a graduate transfer from North Carolina A&T, and he's probably their best defensive player. So they've really done a good job on defense. And the secondary stayed healthy. And they're really good too. They're going to have to be good, facing Travis.
Are they just a sound and disciplined bunch, or does Lambert mix in a lot of kind of exotic looks and pressures that throw opponents off?
No, I think they're really right in front of you. I don't think they do any tricks or anything like that. They're just good ball hawkers, and they don't miss a lot of tackles. I think that's one of the big things that Coach Lambert has stressed, is they don't miss a lot of tackles. Those secondary guys, when they get to someone, they usually bring them down. And I think that's been the key for this year. And I know they kept them in a couple games. That Clemson game was right there. They played right with Clemson. That defense kept them in the game. They were pretty vanilla on offense, just trying to stay in the game. And, they almost pulled it out against the Tigers, which, isn't that hard to do this year, obviously. But still, it's Clemson.
In Death Valley too. So
yeah.
You got to get credit for that. You touch upon the secondary, keeping them in games and maybe being the backbone of the strength of it. But man, I didn't realize Kalen Carson was still around. I thought he was probably already in the NFL draft, but now he'll be a first round pick probably this upcoming season. But with Kalen Carson and Malik Mustafa and Nick Anderson, just how talented is that bunch? And has that been what's been able to keep Wake Forest in these games defensively, do you think?
Yeah, they're really good cover guys too, and that's kind of been key. And they're getting Kevin Pointer on defense. The defensive line has been dynamite, and that's kind of putting pressure on the passer, and that helps the whole defense. And so they've kind of got a nice mix right now. They had a couple injuries on Saturday. We'll see if they play this Saturday, but everybody's hurt this time of year, even the coaches. So you gotta, if you can play, you're going to be out there on Saturday. So it's just been a really collective effort on defense, and to their credit, the defense never gave up. I mean, when the offense is struggling, I think they went 12 quarters and scored one touchdown or something, the offense. And so the defense has kept them in there. And that's kind of been the backbone this year.
I don't know if you can say Wake Forest is coming to this game hot, but it feels like they got some confidence probably from that Pitt game. So probably about as good as you could hope for right now, considering all things.
Right. It's better than the alternative. If they would have lost, they would have came in on a 4-game losing streak to play the 4th-ranked team in the country. That it would have been a long week around the Wake Forest practices, but this gives them some new life. It gives them some momentum. It gives them, it gives them some hope. I mean, they got 5 games left. If they can somehow get 2 more wins, that they get to a bowl game. So it's definitely a boost. Will it be enough against the Seminoles, who obviously are the best team in the ACC this year? I don't know if that can happen on Saturday, but I don't know who is it. This is why they play the game, I guess.
Last thing, John, not to relitigate the past, but just what was the mood around the program when Sam did leave? There seemed to be such a kind of a lag between the rumors of him departing and then him ultimately departing, and just kind of the reality in which we live in with NIL, and that's going to factor into things and just how they find themselves offensively now.
I don't think it was I don't think the fan base wants to, torture the guy. I mean, he was here 5 years. He graduated. He's probably the best quarterback to ever play at Wake Forest. He wanted to maybe get his draft stock up a little, and, Notre Dame offered him a chance to go there. I mean, anybody would take that chance. I mean, and so if he ups his draft stock and he gets drafted, that's great. And if he doesn't, well, he went to play at a high level at Notre Dame for a year. So, coaches and players don't always get along for 5-6 years too. So maybe it was time for Sam to maybe move on. But, I just think that, if he was here for a year and then he left, sure, let's all be mad. But my God, the guy put in his time. He was a warrior for this team. He got sacked early in his career, just like Mitch is getting sacked now. And I'm surprised he's able to walk around. And, so he put a lot into the Wake Forest experience. And I kind of am on the side, like, this is the era we're in. So you either embrace it or you go find something else to do and something else to watch on Saturday afternoons.
All right, I lied. One last thing. I've been asking everybody that on these various beats in the ACC, either give me a score game prediction, John, or will this be the last time Florida State plays at Wake Forest as a member of the ACC?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't think it's the last time they'll play at Wake, but I do think that Florida State wins 34-21.
Ooh. Oh, the Deke's going to cover, y'all. Yeah. Be careful. John Dell from the Winston-Salem Journal joining us here on Wake Up Warchant. John, thanks so much for the time, man.
Thanks, guys. You guys have a good week.
Thanks to John Dell for hopping on, giving us some insight into the Demon Deacons. Thank you for listening, everybody. A reminder, Renegade Express going down tomorrow. Hop onto the Tribal Council of Warchant.com to submit your questions. Probably going to shut that thing down pretty quick. We've been getting lots of questions, which is great, but, we want to try to keep it kind of quick moving, fast paced. So we'll keep it open there briefly. Maybe by 10 in the morning, it might be shut off. But you're all up listening to this early because you can't start your day without us, right? That's why we love you guys. That's a wrap, everybody. Jeff Cameron Show coming up 1 to 3 o'clock. We'll be out at practice, updates, videos, interviews, all that over at warchant.com. So tune in for that. He's Corey. I'm Aslan. Thank you for listening to Wake Up Warchant, presented by the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.